welcome to Second Take. I'm Jillian Kushner. I'm a sophomore broadcast journalism major at the University of Texas at Austin.
Hello, my name is Armand Sadler. I'm a freshman at Cornell University. I'm a communications major, and I work for Big Red Sports Network, so this type of show is right up my alley. I'm really excited. This is our first edition. We hope to do many more after this, get more viewers, get some special guests on here. And yeah, we're just really excited about the opportunity to talk to you all about things that we both love, which is sports.
So we're going to dive right in and start this off by talking about the Super Bowl. So as many of you probably tuned into, the Super Bowl turned out to be a huge blowout between the Seahawks and the Broncos. Broncos had been favored to win basically most of the season. Peyton Manning was having a great year, everything of that sort. The playoffs were some of the best playoffs we've ever seen. And then the Super Bowl turned out to be a blowout, and the Seahawks crushed the Broncos.
Yeah, and I mean, although Peyton had such a great season and he's arguably one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play in the NFL, it doesn't surprise me that he had such a bad Super Bowl showing because as history shows, in the playoffs, Peyton Manning just really tends to crumble. And, I mean, he won a Super Bowl. That was big. But he played the Bears, and, I mean, their offense wasn't that great. Their defense was solid. But he had a really good season that season. But, I mean, overall, Peyton in the playoffs, his record's like 11-13. So it's just really not all of that surprising that Peyton Manning crumbled the way he did. The Seahawks also did execute. You got to give credit to them for playing as well as they did. Russell Wilson played amazing. Percy Harvin played 3 games, but he had such a huge impact in this one game, and it was just an overall really good game by the Seahawks. But Peyton Manning playing the way he did.
Going into the playoffs, I picked the playoffs. I got most of the first round wrong, but I got the Super Bowl right. And I picked the Broncos to win for the sole reason that, yes, the Seahawks have an amazing defense. We all know that. They play like a college team. They have that college defense. They're great. But I thought that the Broncos offense would surpass that, would be able to do more than that. Demaryius Thomas would be able to reel him in, you know. I thought that game would be something great, and I don't understand what happened. No Sean Moreno couldn't do anything. Peyton Manning was throwing interceptions. The receivers were dropping the passes. The thing is, I think Peyton Manning hurt his legacy a lot by that game because he showed he could not play against a defense like that.
Yeah, I mean, the Broncos just didn't look like themselves. Peyton Manning just received MVP and Offensive Player of the Year, and they were hot. They had 4 receivers who all had like 1,000 receiving yards, and they all had a lot of touchdowns. They were the hottest team in the NFL, in my opinion, but they just didn't look like themselves.
I think this shows a lot about the Broncos as a whole. I do not think that they are as good as we had thought that they were previously.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Peyton Manning came to the Broncos and made them an amazing team, but I mean, they just look like the Broncos of old. They honestly look like the Broncos when Tebow was quarterback. They weren't the elite team that we all thought they were.
And as far as the Richard Sherman little outbreak, everybody was making a huge deal about that. And the way I see it is someone needed to put Michael Crabtree in his place. That is definitely my Longhorn bias showing, because I am still very bitter about 2008 when he scored a touchdown with 1 second left and ruined our national championship dreams. So, that aside, Michael Crabtree needed this. When he was a rookie, he went into the NFL and demanded a raise in his contract. You haven't even played yet, so who do you think you are asking for $100 million? Like, someone needed to put him in his place. I do not doubt that he was saying things to Richard Sherman in the end zone. I do not doubt any of that. I think what Richard Sherman did was right. He handled it right. He never cussed. He raised his voice. But you could tell it was out of passion. I don't understand why people were calling him a thug, because honestly, it was passion.
Yeah, Richard Sherman is far from a thug. I mean, people seem to forget that he graduated from Stanford with a 3.9 GPA. He majored in communications. He's a very intelligent guy. They don't understand that Michael Crabtree, Richard Sherman went up to congratulate him on a game well played after Sherman made that amazing play, and Crabtree punched him in the face mask. I mean, it was all in the heat of the moment. It was just a lot of passion. I mean, if you were in that position, you would definitely feel a lot of emotion after making such a game-saving play, and you might not have had the exact same post-game interview, but you definitely would have been as emotional as Richard Sherman.
And then the fact that the media was portraying him like this never showed the fact he hugged Anna Andrews before and after, never showed the fact that he was talking out of passion. He is a very educated man, and it makes no sense why people were saying these types of things about him. He played with heart. I like what he said. I honestly, if I was Aaron Andrews, I would have egged him on a little bit. I'd be like, tell me what he said. Tell me what he said, you know? But she handled it as she knew. But
yeah, now Richard Sherman is a great player. He's got a great attitude. I love his personality. I love his energy. He's going to be one of the greatest cornerbacks in the NFL, in my opinion. And I look forward to this season the Seahawks are going to have next year because, I mean, I can definitely see them repeating with the team they have. They have a lot of great players under rookie contract. They're probably going to add a few good pieces in the draft. So, I mean, I see great things for their future. Definitely for the Broncos.
Pete Carroll's one of the best coaches to ever coach.
Yeah, Pete Carroll.
He was amazing at USC. He's going to be amazing for the rest of his career. 100%. I wanted him at Texas. And
speaking of Texas, didn't they just get a new coach, Jill? You want to talk about that a little bit?
Let's talk about that one. So I was heartbroken to see Mac Brown go after 16 seasons. You know, I feel like he's a grandpa to me. I don't know him personally, but the thing that was so noble about what he did is he said the reason he needed to step down was because Texas would not be able to achieve the level of success they deserve under him anymore. He no longer worked for the team, and he acknowledged that, and he said that's the problem. And I think the way he handled it was great. We have a new athletic director now, Steve Patterson. We're going to have a new football coach, Charlie Strong, you know, first black head coach at Texas. Like, this is everything is great. Charlie Strong came in with an entirely new coaching staff. We kept one of our coaches, which is the tight end coach, and that's it. And so as far as for the future of Texas, I think Charlie Strong is going to be great. You know, he came out of Louisville. He had a great career at Louisville. You know, I think we got some good stuff coming for us.
Yeah, no, I personally like to believe that new is always better. I mean, Mac Brown, obviously a great coach. Texas had a lot of success over Mac Brown. But, I mean, sometimes change is good. And Charlie Strong's a great coach. Like you said, he had a really great career at Louisville. And I see great things for Texas. So I'm definitely excited to see what they do in college football next season.
Yeah. The only thing is it kind of hurt our recruiting because a lot of people were recruited under Mac Brown. And Texas National Signing Day was the other day. And Texas actually had one of the worst classes they've had in the past 10 years. We didn't get any of the top 9 players from the state of Texas. We ended up ranked 16th. The Big 12 was ranked 5th. SEC dominated the day, had 121 commits. So as far as recruiting goes, it took a toll, just as any coaching change will, but I still see good things in the future.
And on the topic of college football, let's talk about a very interesting topic I think Jill and I will have definitely some differing opinions on. Let's talk about Mr. Johnny Football, Johnny Manziel. So, Jillian, how do you feel about Mr. Johnny Football?
Honestly, yes, he's a talented player. He is not spectacular. Nothing about him amazes me. He has probably the worst attitude I have ever seen. I do not see him having a successful NFL career because no one wants to deal with an attitude like that. He is small. His build is not made for the NFL. He is not selfless enough to play in the NFL. He thinks he can run the ball every play. That isn't going to work in the NFL. Just like we were talking about the Seahawks will destroy that man. Do not call him Johnny Football. He is Johnny Manziel. He does not represent football. Giving him the Heisman was one of the biggest mistakes. A&M bias aside, I do not like this man.
I'm going to have to take the opposing opinion to you. I definitely think that Johnny Manziel, Johnny Football, I would like to call him, I think he's going to do pretty well in the NFL. I mean, dual-threat quarterbacks, they're exactly what they are. They're dual threats. Andrew Luck, I consider him a dual threat. He's successful. Russell Wilson is a dual threat. He's successful. Michael Vick had his successes as a dual threat despite being injury-prone. RG3 was a pretty solid quarterback, despite his injuries as well. So I think Johnny Manziel is going to do pretty well. He's definitely going to turn some heads. His attitude, yeah, it's a problem. He definitely needs to relax a little bit. He's a bit too brash, a bit too cocky. But, it's good to have a personality like that because it brings attention to you. And I think in the NFL, besides playing well and drawing attention to yourself by playing well on the field, you definitely have to have a personality off the field as well. So I kind of like it a little bit. And I think Johnny Manziel is going to do pretty well for himself.
No, he won't because as far as I'm concerned, he is this cocky, this full of himself. He thinks he's the greatest. What has he done? What has he done? You won a Heisman. The Heisman isn't even a coveted trophy anymore. They're just handing it out. It doesn't even have the same meaning it used to. It used to go to the best player. Now it's just going to the player that is the best out of the bunch. Some of these players are not deserving of it. And Johnny Manziel did not deserve it. He did not win enough games. He did not win a national championship. He beat Alabama. Whoop-de-doo. Okay. Are you proud? Sure, here's a cookie. You beat Alabama. Honestly, I don't care that you beat Alabama because that's all he can really pride himself on. He claims he turned around A&M. He had the best offensive line I have ever seen in my life. That boy had all day in the pocket. Don't credit that to yourself. He wasn't doing it. It was his offensive line. Mike Sumlin is a great coach. Johnny Manziel is not the reason A&M had success. Johnny Manziel is nothing special. Johnny Manziel will not be successful in the NFL.
It's a really interesting opinion. I'm going to have to take the opposing opinion too. I mean, Alabama's probably the most dominant college football team in the last decade. So to beat Alabama is not an easy feat. I mean, we've seen LSU have a great season and play Alabama in the national championship. They lost. We saw Notre Dame have a great season and they play Alabama. They lost. I mean, Alabama's been the thorn in college football side. And the fact Johnny Manziel could pull off such a win against them is definitely something to be proud of. And he did have a great comeback victory in his bowl game this year. I mean, yeah, he had a great offensive line, but I mean, a lot of great quarterbacks have great offensive lines, but that doesn't take away from the fact that they're a great quarterback. I mean, to be a dual threat, you have to make plays on your own. He runs a lot, and it's not like the linemen are following him up the field. He's running. He's using his speed. He's using his agility. He's making the plays. So, I mean, yes, he had a great offensive line, great coach, great team, but you can't take all the credit away from Johnny Manziel. He's a great athlete. He's a great quarterback.
Yes, you can, because the thing I see, he is small, first of all. If you're looking at small professional quarterbacks, first one who comes to mind is going to be Drew Brees. Drew Brees is not a big quarterback. Drew Brees has a great attitude. He understands he cannot run the ball. Running the ball does not get you. Dual threat quarterbacks do not work in the NFL. You talked about RG3. Tell me how the Redskins did this year. Tell me how they did. Exactly.
Solid point.
Anyways, you talk about someone like Vince Young. First of all, Vince Young was taller than Johnny Manziel, better than Johnny Manziel, and he's still going to have NFL success because running the ball does not work in the NFL. Russell Wilson understands to throw the ball, and the Seahawks are a very defensive team. Most of their big plays in the Super Bowl were defensive. So a dual threat quarterback does not work in the NFL. Running like that will not work. Someone who is as cocky as Johnny Manziel will not work. Someone as small as him will not work.
Oh, I mean, all right. I respect that. I definitely respect your opinion. I see where you're coming from. On the topic of Vince Young, I don't know if I would credit his downfall in the NFL to his inability to run the ball. I'd say it was his attitude. I mean, he had a lot of attitude issues with the Titans. He would fight some players, and that's why he got dropped. Packers dropped him.
And I think Johnny Manziel's going to have the exact same problems. I would never talk down about Vince Young. He had a lot of problems that came with him and Jeff Fisher did not get along. That's a big issue. But as far as his talent, everyone knows Vince Young was talented, and he still couldn't make the NFL work. And just because you are successful in college football does not mean that success is going to translate, and a lot of players don't realize that.
All right, well, let's move on. Pro Bowl, you want to talk about the Pro Bowl a little bit?
Yeah, the Pro Bowl this year was probably the best I've ever seen it. I'm one of the few who always watches it. This year, what they changed about it was not the NFC versus the AFC. They had Team Sanders and Team Rice. Deion Sanders, Jerry Rice. And instead, so they picked, like, the Pro Bowl commission, like, picked all the best players. And then instead of having them divided by division, the coaches picked which players they wanted. So you may have AFC and NFC players on the same team. That's just how it works. And it actually was a good game. For some reason, players had an incentive to play. In previous years, you know, there's a 60-yard run because no one's going to tackle because it's the Pro Bowl. Like, you're not going to risk an injury. This year they were tackling, they were playing, it was a game. Like, it was a good game. I've been saying we need incentive because everyone loves the NBA All-Star Game. Everyone watches the MLB All-Star Game because the MLB All-Star Game has weight. The All-Star Game and the NBA, like, it's fun. They play crazy. And since football is such a different sport where you can't go and dunk, we want big plays, we want crazy plays, but we also want a game. And
Absolutely.
This year we finally got that.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I mean, I think as an AFC player who never gets to play with someone like Drew Brees or Nick Foles, it's got to be exciting to try to catch a pass from Nick Foles. I mean, especially Nick Foles, like, he had such a great season for the Eagles. He came in, stepped in because Vic got injured again, and he had an amazing season. He ended up being the Pro Bowl MVP. So, I mean, it's definitely got to be exciting. And I look forward to the Pro Bowl staying like this for the next few years. And, I mean, maybe if, like, Peyton or Tom Brady don't happen to make the Super Bowl, they can get in there too, throw to like Calvin Johnson or Larry Fitzgerald, and it'll definitely be exciting. And I definitely see the Pro Bowl becoming a much bigger deal.
The point of All-Star games is to kind of make a fantasy team. Like, that's what you're doing. You're you're putting a great quarterback and a great running back and a great receiver, and you're like, let's see how great this is about to be. So that's what people want to see when they watch the Pro Bowl, and that's what they need to start giving us. I think moving the Pro Bowl before the Super Bowl was a big mistake because then we miss out on all the great players in the Super Bowl. I think they need to move the Pro Bowl back after the Super Bowl. They need to maybe add an incentive, the way that MLB does the home field advantage. Maybe if we think of something like that to really make this game, I think it could turn into one of the best games of the year.
Definitely. Yeah, no, I completely agree with you on that. I think adding an incentive and giving home field advantage to the winning team for next year's Super Bowl, 100% a great idea. Let's move on to some NBA, though, since we talked about the All-Star game. We got All-Star Weekend coming up. We got Kevin Durant on a tear. We got Damian Lillard participating in 5 All-Star events. Like, there's just so much going on. So, I mean, tell me what you think about the NBA.
First off, if we're talking about All-Star Weekend, I'm going to express how angry I am at LeBron James. I am not a Heat fan. I will never say I am. I have incredible respect for Dwayne Wade and LeBron James. Personally, I'm a Kobe fan, but LeBron James is amazing. We all know this. LeBron James can dunk like no one else can, and this man is still not in the dunk contest. That is all anyone wants to see. I will personally pay him money to go into the to the dunk contest. That would make it great. Not saying it's not going to be great otherwise, but we know he can dunk like no one else can. I think he's being selfish, and I will call him out on that because he is being selfish. I want to see him dunk in the dunk contest. He knows he's good. Why wouldn't he do it?
Yeah, no, I definitely share that opinion. I think since the first year LeBron came to the NBA, he should have been in the dunk contest, and he's just year after year he said, no, it's not for me. We had to pull teeth to get Paul George in the dunk contest this year. Like all these superstars, like they need to show that they're a superstar and show how athletic and exciting they can be by participating in dunk contests and three-point contests and skills challenges. I mean, All-Star Weekend's about fun. It's not about being a pretty boy or being a celebrity and sitting and watching. Like, you got to get involved. Like, there's some really fun events. The Shooting Stars Challenge, like Kevin Durant and Steph Curry are doing that. So, I mean, LeBron dunking 4 or 5 times for us, like, he does that in a game like 10 times. So what's the big deal?
It doesn't make any sense to me. It shouldn't be something that he's like, no, I don't want to do it, because he should do it. It's fun. And then we have to talk about the All-Star game as a whole. Like, that game, for the first year in a very long time, Kobe will not be in it. Kobe is injured, and he will not be playing. He will not be in the All-Star game, and that's going to take away from the game, because Kobe, the way Kobe plays in the All-Star game, everyone will say, like, oh, he's not dunking like LeBron, blah, blah, blah. And the thing is because Kobe is mature. He's a mature player. He understands giving these young guys a chance to do their little showboating. And so it's going to be very different not having him there. And I don't like it, because I think Kobe, he keeps getting injured, and you only got to think, like, how much longer is his career going to go.
Yeah, no, Kobe's definitely exciting to watch the All-Star game. I believe he's the top scorer in All-Star game history, if I'm not mistaken. And, I mean, he's just a scoring machine. He makes the All-Star game exciting. When you think All-Star game, you think LeBron, you think KD, and then you think Kobe Bryant, because you know Kobe Bryant's going to put up 30 points. He's going to make those crazy shots. He's going to do what Kobe Bryant does. And him missing is definitely going to change the whole dynamic of the All-Star game, but perhaps it'll let someone step up. I mean, we got a lot of exciting players in the All-Star game this year, and, I mean, it's always good. I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing Kevin Durant, obviously, but as a whole, I mean, I love the All-Star game, so definitely looking excited to All-Star.
I got my boy Dwight Howard in it. He's on one of the reserves. Kevin Durant. It's gonna be good. I mean, the All-Star game never disappoints, and it'll be a fun weekend for sure. And then moving into greater NBA, Kevin Durant is on fire. This boy is on fire. He was having 30-plus games night after night. I don't know what it is that has just pushed him to be like this. I think it's because he's a Longhorn. I'm not sure. But he can't be stopped, and no one can stop him. No one can guard him.
I mean, seeing as how I pay a lot of attention to the OKC Thunder, I can definitely shed some light on why Kevin Durant is playing this way. I mean, Russell Westbrook is a huge part of their offense, and him missing, that means other players have to step up. And as you see, Serge Ibaka is not really stepping up the way he should. Kendrick Perkins isn't stepping up. Reggie Jackson's not really holding it down as a backup point guard. So Kevin Durant has to take it upon himself to put the team on his back and score more. And if that means scoring 36 points a game and winning the game for his team, then he has to do it. And he's capable. I mean, LeBron James admitted no one can guard Kevin Durant one-on-one.
No one can. He's a monster. But the way the way the NBA is set up is he will not be able to win a championship on that team. And as much as everyone would want him to, OKC cannot win it all this year. He cannot win it all. I remember last year when they were losing in the playoffs, I saw a meme and it was saying like before Westbrook got hurt, before Perkins became useless, before Serge Ibaka stopped playing, it's just like Kevin Durant did everything he could. Like he put the team on his back, and you can't do that week in and week out. You need other players. That's why it's called a team sport. And just like LeBron couldn't win at Cleveland because he was doing it alone, KD can't win at OKC. And I think going to another team or picking up other players needs to be something that OKC is looking at in the future and Kevin Durant is looking at. Westbrook is an amazing player. He's one of my favorite players, but he's getting that injury bug. He's having problems, and I mean he hasn't been the Westbrook we remember in a while, and I'm just not sure what KD can do because that man deserves a ring. He's going to go down as a legend. He's going to be in that conversation with Kobe, LeBron, Michael Jordan. He's going into that conversation, but he needs a ring. Give that boy a ring. Put
Absolutely.
him somewhere where he can win.
Yeah, no, I mean, OKC definitely is a finals contender, and I question a lot of the moves that they've made. I question trading Jeff Green. I question getting rid of James Harden. I question picking up Kevin Martin. I mean, he came and he didn't really do much. I question the amount of minutes they give to Jeremy Lamb. I mean, he's a great young player, great defender, great scorer, and they just don't give him enough time. I feel like there's just a lot wrong with the OKC organization, and that's really going to hinder them from the success that they could accomplish. There's a lot of potential in that team. There's a lot of young talent. There's Serge Ibaka is an amazing defender. He's getting a lot better on offense. Kendrick Perkins is an enforcer. You got Cephalosha, great shooter, great defender. Kevin Durant. Obviously, there's a lot of potential, a lot of talent on that team, but they just don't have it all like Miami does. They're just not a complete team like Miami. They're not a team like the Mavs were when they won. They're just not that team that can do it, unfortunately.
And right now, the Rockets are really becoming a team, and I think Kevin Durant should look into maybe going to the Rockets. You got that big man Dwight Howard holding it down. You got James Harden, who is a former teammate. James Harden and Kevin Durant had a great connection together, and I think a place like Houston would be great for Kevin, honestly. And he does need a complete team. He needs a team like that because right now when you're looking at the finals, you're going to see Miami in it. So who's the other team?
Yeah, I mean, realistically, Kevin Durant going to the Rockets probably wouldn't happen with all that money that they have to pay to James Harden and Dwight Howard. But it would, in my mind, I mean, obviously that would be an amazing team. I mean, I definitely think OKC should make some moves, maybe ship away Russ Westbrook and Ibaka, pick up a star. I mean, Melo wants to leave the Knicks, so if they could somehow get Melo there, I mean, realistically, that probably wouldn't work out. But something, OKC needs to do something.
I don't see Melo and KD working together well. I don't see that because KD is a very selfless player, and I don't think he would work well with a player like Melo. I think the Rockets should start thinking of ways to get Kevin Durant because that could make them a championship team in a blink of an eye. Like I think that could do it immediately. Because right now I can't tell you who's going to be in the finals with Miami. I know the Lakers aren't going to the finals because they can't. I don't even know what this year was for the Lakers. It's just like blah. Like all you can say is blah. Like you're looking at a team like the Warriors, they're doing well. These other teams, but you always are going to see Miami as the top. And you need to put Kevin Durant on a team where he is also in that top conversation because he is probably the best player in the league right now. Some say LeBron, I'm saying Kevin Durant.
I mean, I'm a huge Kevin Durant fan, but I mean, at the end of the day, LeBron is the best team. But Miami is not even the best team in the NBA right now. I mean, if you look at it, the Indiana Pacers are hot right now. You got Paul George playing great. They just picked up Andrew Bynum. Roy Hibbert is an enforcer in the post. You got David West. You got George Hill. Lance Stevenson's playing well. Danny Granger off the bench. I mean, the Pacers are looking like they might be the ones coming out of the East and going to the finals. And that would be an interesting finals, like Thunder Pacers if that were to happen. Or
Blazers. That would be.
The Blazers look really hot too.
But I don't think OKC will make it that far. They will not make it that far in the playoffs because you can't be a one-man team. You need your other players because what if Kevin Durant doesn't have a good day? Just like we saw in the Super Bowl, Peyton Manning wasn't having a good day. When you lose your best player, sucks.
Very true. Yeah. No. I mean, we definitely have to see what's going to happen later in the season. I mean, I definitely see OKC making a push, but as far as winning it all, I'm not entirely sure. We got 4 minutes left, so I mean, Jill, if you want to wrap up, anything else you want to discuss? I mean, it's all yours.
Well, we're looking forward. Let's look at college football. Looking forward, we got the draft coming up pretty soon. Notable players going in the draft is Alabama's losing A.J. McCarron. He's a senior. He's gone. As far as his NFL success, A.J. McCarron is a good quarterback, but none of us really know how Alabama won so much. Because, yes, A.J. McCarron's a good quarterback, but you don't see him and you're like, this guy is money. You don't see him like that. But somehow they won. So I think that a lot of NFL teams are going to see that and be like, if we put him in the right equation, that might be something. I think the teams that are looking for another quarterback, the Cowboys will refuse to admit this, but they need to get rid of Tony Romo. Tony
100%.
Romo is never the answer. There is
Yes.
never an equation that equals Tony Romo, except like what sucks equals Tony Romo. Like you don't need that. You're looking at some teams. I don't think you need to. The Raiders need to give up. The Oakland Raiders must give up. It doesn't. They get the best players every year, and they still suck. They're not good. I think the Redskins should look at someone like A.J. McCarron. I think the Redskins are definitely in for another quarterback. RG3, yes, he's RG3. He's great, but you don't know what's going to happen. He might have just had a great rookie season, and then the rest of his life is going to be there. You don't know. So just in case, they need to look into someone like that. There are a lot of teams that need to let go of their franchise quarterback and be realistic.
No, absolutely. It's definitely a great draft class coming up. There are definitely a lot of teams in need of quarterbacks. I mean, I would even look at the Jets. Geno Smith had a solid season, but the Jets definitely need to make some changes. I'm shocked that they hired back Rex Ryan. I mean, I figured they'd get rid of him. I mean, looking at the past couple seasons they've had, something needs to change, and they really haven't made many changes. So a lot of teams definitely need to make some changes.
The Vikings need a quarterback. It kills me that someone as good as Adrian Peterson cannot win because of a lack of a quarterback. Either the Vikings need to let go of Adrian Peterson or they need to give him someone. They need to give him a quarterback. They need to give this quarterback also receivers because just like we were saying about Kevin Durant, Adrian Peterson cannot do it all. He is great. He is everything, but he is one man. He can't carry a football team. He cannot be 11 different people. He has to be one person. So
Especially as a running back, yeah.
The Vikings need to look at this draft and think about what is best.
Yeah, I mean, there's just no NFL team that can succeed without a good quarterback. That's just the way it is. The quarterback is the leader of the team. They're the captain. They run everything on the field. They call the shots. So if you don't have a good quarterback and your best player is your running back, I mean, it's just not going to happen for you. So I definitely agree with you. The Vikings definitely are in need of a quarterback. I guess we're going to wrap up for now. I'd like to thank all the viewers for watching our first edition of Second Take. We will be back next week with a special guest. Yeah, already we're doing that. Jill, thank you. Always nice to talk to you and see you. I'm Armand. You guys know me. We're going to sign out. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for watching.